Life in Georgia changed this week, and now two bold moves from the federal government and state lawmakers to get a handle on the coronavirus.
President Trump announced a national emergency, and tomorrow morning, Governor Kemp will declare a public health emergency. So what does all this mean? Here's John Sherrick with facts, not fear.
As soon as President Trump
I am officially declaring a national emergency,
announced up to $50 billion for state and local governments to fight the coronavirus, Georgia's Governor Kemp announced his latest action. Kemp says that on Saturday morning, he will place Georgia under a public health emergency, the first one ever, pending approval by the General Assembly in a special session coming up on Monday. Quote, "This declaration will greatly assist health and emergency management officials across Georgia by deploying all available resources for the mitigation and treatment of COVID-19. Neither the governor nor the White House is saying yet how much money Georgia is about to receive out of the tens of billions of dollars the president just announced. But the state legislature has already authorized the governor to spend $100 million from the state's rainy day fund to combat coronavirus. And that will be on top of the new federal money.
Ensuring that Georgia has the resources at hand to enable us to quickly and thoroughly prevent the spread of the virus within our borders.
The president also announcing a partnership with Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, and Target to begin drive-through testing in their parking lots. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has been outspoken about the lack of testing kits, encouraged.
We still have a long way to go. There will be many more cases, but what's going on here today is going to help it to end sooner than it would have.
The federal and state governments,
no resource will be spared, nothing whatsoever,
in effect declaring war on COVID-19.